Hello everyone, welcome to ESL TV for the ESL 1 Battlefield 4 Spring 2014 Group Stages. If you're just joining us, you missed out on yesterday for Group A, but now today we're kicking off with Group B. I'm Jason Kaplan, joined by the lovely Lauren Pansy Scott, and I can't wait to see the games we have going on today.
Yeah, they're going to be absolutely incredible. We had a great start with the first play day. You know, the first group was pretty good, but we kind of got what we expected. But today's group is a little bit different. There's two teams, maybe even three to an extent, that could walk away in that first position. And when we're ready, we can have a look at those, because I think this is one of the ones we've been looking for. It may not be the group of death overall, but this group at least has got some real contenders in here. So PyRo, for example, up against ExAequo. That's where we're starting. Now, both of these two teams, you know, they've been back and forth a lot of the times. It's not exactly the bogey team. Epsilon is ExAequo's. I think we can go into that in a little bit if it gets through to there. But PyRo, very solid team, certainly stepped up in the offline performances in last season, as you got to see. And the opposition of ExAequo, been a bit hit and miss. Sometimes really getting good, getting into it, but then they always seem to meet Epsilon, and that's normally when you
Poor
stop.
guys,
you know, it's pretty harsh on them. But then obviously we do have Epsilon in here, and not to ignore Team Unitas. They're still there, but they're not a team that I feel are going to have an easy time.
See, that's the thing I agree with you on, but also the fact that they're the last place team come into this. They're ranked 12 come into this. Last season,
that was PyRo,
ranked 16 come into it, getting into second place overall when we got to the finals. And they're in their group now, so it's like if anyone to look up to, it's gonna be PyRo coming into this.
It certainly is, but you know, it's normally the French teams that do this, and those guys are German, so I'm not sure if they can pull it off the same. Maybe they can. Who am I to judge? But still, I think we need to have a look at the overall groups as well to see the entirety of what we've got coming up in the next couple of days, and what you missed if you weren't here watching Group A. So Group A was, you know, Fnatic, Planet Key, Infamous, and Wartime. You know, that was a pretty solid group there. Good teams, but there was always one big breakout team there, with Planet Key not too far off, and Infamous, you know, hot on their trail. So Group A, it ended how you imagine. Fnatic took that first place. Nothing too surprising, but a good result. But Group B, a lot of teams in there could do something good here. We
could probably say Epsilon will be that team to get through in first place, just from past results and what we've seen. But the second place, like that's the real tricky one. PyRo, ExAequo, and like you said, Unitas. I mean, a team that we're probably not expecting to really step up, but they have every opportunity to do it now. But then again, you know, we have Group C as well to follow up with Muture Makers, Dignitas, ESC, and Isuba.Intel here. That is, to me, the group of death. It really is. There's so many good teams there.
Really, really is the group of death. Three solid teams. Isuba, an outrunner, but someone who can also compete at the very top level. They've always been hot on the heels, but they've had the same problem here, that they'll get to maybe the quarters, then struggle if they get to the semi-finals, because there is a lot of talented teams in this overall. It's not like most other games where at the very first two seasons, there's always like two breakout teams who are the strongest. You could have said originally UMAV and Fnatic were those two breakout teams, but every other team could at least always get to the semifinals out of that top 10. Every single team could, but sometimes they had a bit of an unlucky, you know, matchup in the quarters. So, you know, Fnatic might meet Epsilon early on, and then obviously they started to, you know, separate them out a little bit, and we kind of avoided that till the semifinals. But you will always get a good opponent in the quarters to semis. That's where you can prove yourself, and that's the biggest thing in this. And if you guys at home do want to check out what we've been seeing so far, make sure you head over to the battlefield.esl-1.com site and just check it out there, because all the previous results are around. You can even head over to the social media down below, and it'll give you all the links. If you're even too lazy to go to the URL I just told you, it's real simple, to be fair, isn't it?
It is pretty simple. You make it really simple. And also, there's one thing you guys might notice, and I'm actually curious how many of you I figured that out, but you only see 3 groups this time. And like I said before, there's only 12 teams.
I was a bit confused.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
I definitely was as well.
My simple brain was like, what is this?
I thought there's supposed to be 4. Four's an even number. I like even numbers, yes. But we did something a little different this time. We're not using 16 teams. What we're doing is we're giving a second chance, though, to the teams who lost in the first 3 groups, with A, B, and C. So 2 teams qualified out of the groups, but that third team gets put into Group D. And obviously the team with the higher seeding in before we even came into groups.
There's another group of death, basically.
There's another group of death. I mean, it's the final chance to get through, and obviously the team with the higher seed will get a bye on the first round.
That's so important as well.
Very.
So important. That could make so much of a difference. It's unbelievable. But we can kind of bring it back to today's group, I think. Let's start, you know, we can kind of look at the 2 teams that we've got coming up, because let's say people only watch maybe the second day of the original cups we had going. They might not have seen these two too much. Like PyRo, probably a team they might be a little bit familiar with by now. Certainly one of the stronger French sides who always seem to come into their own throughout these stages. We saw it last season when they finally started to kind of build up. Very quiet during the cups, but this time around they've really become their own kind of beast. And they've got a great lineup there. But the team I really want to point out is ExAequo. We're butchering their name. We're well aware of it, and I do apologize. As a caster, it's like when a name like that happens, it's like
If you give us a hard name, you have to live with what we say.
Yeah, pretty much. I do apologize.
Yeah.
But they are an up-and-coming side. They have a lot of talent. I think Dogbert will happily tell anyone this, that they really do have a lot of talent. But I think it was the game against Infamous, funny enough, was one that me and Dogbert watched. And we saw Infamous alike on their maps. They become, you know, a top-tier team on very specific maps. And sadly for ExAequo, they were up against Infamous on their maps. So it's very hard to judge them because we've only ever seen them in very hard matchups. But I'm not sure if we can account, you know, say that PyRo are any weaker, really.
Yeah, I like how you point out that for ExAequo because, I mean, if we look at their past results coming into this, they lost to Epsilon twice in Cup 2 and Cup 3. I mean, if you run into a team like that, it's going to be very difficult to really advance on to play against anyone else. And they went up against Meet Your Makers and lost 1-2 in the first Cup, and then they played against Fnatic in the fourth Cup in quarters and lost 0-2. So they got pretty much stopped every single time there. And it's kind of unfortunate because you don't see them play against, you know, some other really good teams. You don't really see them to pull up against PyRo, which they unfortunately didn't even get to play. Though they did play Unitas, and they beat them 2-0, so that's always a good sign for them.
So they have got a bit of backing to them.
Yeah,
you know, they can do well. No one gets to this point without being competent. And we are almost getting ourselves ready to get underway. So I think they're just making sure the teams are ready, and once the game gets in, we will jump into the server. But I think we do know the list, and we're starting on Locker. ExAequo's choice. I haven't seen them much on that map, personally.
We haven't seen it much, I think, throughout the Cups, at least when I was doing it, some of them.
It seems
I
like
didn't see it at all.
Shanghai's taken its place these days, obviously with the changes of the spawns, and you know, maybe a little bit of the weapon change up, some weapons being banned out.
Right.
Maybe it's more applicable. And see, I did start thinking, you know, C's not as easy to hold now. You don't have, you know, the Scar H, you know, that long range gun that can really do the damage. You can't really challenge on that as much anymore. If you
That's what we saw
yesterday,
yesterday, though, as well, in our matches. I mean, they would send one guy out there, would cap it, and then he would kind of just leave it. They literally left no one out there.
Out on the side. You know, that's maybe a bit of a change, maybe why they're not favoring it as much, but maybe ExAequo have worked something out that happens to work for them. So
I would hope so.
Yeah, you know, PyRo not exactly an easy side to take down, but that is ExAequo's choice of map. Following that, I believe it's going to be Zavod for PyRo. Strong team on there. Only team that I've seen start really pushing the likes of Fnatic on it, even with, you know, Valutaja stepping up and a lot of the players finding new roles. But they did very well. So I'm looking forward to this one. It could go in 2 maps. It could be all 3 where we go to, I believe, Storm as the final one. Right. But I think we are just about ready, so we can dive into game. And we can take you through the lineups here. In case you aren't too familiar with these guys and you aren't, you know, up to speed on your Polish and French teams. So for ExAequo, it is Seo, Blade, Probo, Terra, and Miziek. Over for PyRo, if I can speak, Hexis, Flash, Benny, ExAequo, and Melicium. So 2 very good teams, very good players. I think this is now a proving point for people to finally kind of get used to who ExAequo are and how we can expect to see them playing in the next couple of games. So what's your predictions on this?
I want to have high hopes for ExAequo. I mean, I'm trying to get confused in my head now with what I'm saying, but they've been a core team for 2 seasons now, and I really want to see them step up, and I think this is the perfect time for them. But on Locker against PyRo, and then obviously coming into Zavod after that, that's going to be very difficult for them. But obviously, they still have a second chance when we get into this in the later stages. But right now, I want to see them perform well, and I hope we do see it here off the bat.
Yeah, indeed. So for the Russian side, it will be PyRo. For the US side, it will be ExAequo. And we are seeing that initial kind of exchange going down on the C side. Both teams generally pick up A and B retrospectively. And C is the one that we kind of see the back and forth on. So already there is one player for PyRo, just toying with them. But as we said, without that Scar H, you could not make as much impact towards C. So we are generally seeing the US side picking up the 2 initial flags. But this has also caused the likes of PyRo, the Russian side, to be able to push a little bit harder towards B. So that's kind of what we've seen off the start here. It was a 2-1, but PyRo in a good spot to pick up the B side.
And it's really interesting to me to see ExAequo actually send 2 men out towards C and just kind of keep them there for a long time. But now, you know, they finally sent someone on the flank. Fortunately, he did get killed. He did get picked off, so he wasn't able to really do anything there. But, I mean, right now, it's kind of early stages of the game. I don't really expect to see anyone really break out here right off the bat, especially in the first game of the day. But as we are seeing, PyRo looking for a little bit of push on to B here, and it looks like they should be able to cap it over. We're tagging along with Benny right there. You do see, what was that? The FAMAS actually picked up. So we're seeing actually that gun be used quite a bit more now lately, now that I mention it.
Yeah, the hip fire from that thing, close range, is a just dominant gun. But you put it at long range, you start to struggle. Hence why I can imagine he was down by B, very close quarters, as we're seeing right now with Melicium picking up a nice double. Doesn't get the third, gets shut down by Miziek. But maybe the rest of his teammates can come in here, but Terra has got the respawn, and that's going to be a nice little clean up there for the ExAequo side. So no one really claiming that B site at all, actually. It's kind of being left there up in the air. I can imagine ExAequo will claim it in the end. But interesting spot from Hexis here, actually. He could get some very interesting respawns, but no one's defending A. I'm not sure if this is just a huge mistake from PyRo.
And I think it might slightly be maybe a little miscommunication because they sent 2 up towards C, and ExAequo wasn't even defending it. They were like leaving it to free to be taken, and both teams were hammering home at B. But obviously, you can see the blue side capture that one, and now with A being captured here for the side of ExAequo, well, Blady will be taken out from the backside, so that won't unfortunately work out too well. But they have kept out to C, so they're going to have the 2 cap here in just a few seconds, unless Sayo has something to say about it. He is going to be pushing in. It looks like he got a grenade right there and gets the revive, so they will be able to hold on to A, and they will maintain that AB hold here. But now for PyRo, honestly, they seem to be struggling off the bat of this one.
They really are. They're being overrun, really. ExAequo and I believe that's Flash in mid. They're both trying to work something out, find a way to push, but them losing out on B and not having A, they are pretty much in the middle of ExAequo. So they're going to fall back towards that B side. But look, right in the wings, ExAequo is waiting, and Probo with that Famous can do some real damage if he gets close range to these guys, and that's what he's depending on. He's not going to go for the challenge necessarily. He might leave the likes of Blade to do that, but still, he can just play nicely here, wait for that push, and wait for the come around. He's going to be peeking in. Nothing too much happening though. They've secured it quite comfortably. Finally, a little bit of back and forth comes out from ExAequo, but as we've noticed, you know, Blade was there, ExAequo was there, and they're playing very well. So 132 tickets to 115. Already, ExAequo just chipping away, but they're really leaving A open a hell of a lot.
Look at this. You can see the blue start now for ExAequo. They're not even going for C. No one is at C right now, and yet they're straight just walking towards it here. We're going to see potentially a tri-cut coming in here in just a few seconds for PyRo. It looks like it will finally be locked in, as actually B does get capped over last second, but they don't even care about C. And as we can tell, and they unfortunately can't, is that C's completely wide open, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier on with that Scar H being taken out. People are less likely to go out there. It's more of a bloodbath, and I want to say the Operation Locker has probably one of the highest kills per map ratio out of all of them currently.
Yeah, maybe Railway could keep up, but we are finally seeing ExAequo trying to push back towards A. They really did kind of leave it a little bit too thin. They kind of ignored the site that they had there, and they should have got back and tried to do something about it. But A is firmly in the hands for now for PyRo. But Sayo is in a good position to try and challenge this one out, but Flash just comes flying around the corner and takes him down before he could set up with ExAequo. So that means A will stay in their hands for a little while. B is already overrun. Terra cannot challenge on this one, so it should be at least a well-held 2-1 in favor to PyRo, and they finally got back into the kind of feel of things here. They've got into the kind of groove a little bit. But A is looking like that's where ExAequo want to try and change the tide, but it's not going to be easy with this many players here on the site.
Yeah, very true, and we're seeing a difference in terms of how teams hold it right now. As you can see, we're going to have, who was that man? I got to check out on my screen. It's ExAequo actually heading out towards C right now. All right, now we're taking a look at A here, but you know, ExAequo, they don't even, they leave one man out on towards C. They leave one man to defend. Well, unfortunately, he actually just did get picked up right there, but PyRo don't do that.
No.
I like seeing the little differences, the little nuances between the two teams. They just send everyone inside, and they want to control A and B. That's the 2 flags that they really want to hold down, and as you can see, they do hold a tri-cap for a little bit right there, but A will go back over to ExAequo. But like we were saying before, you know, I was a little bit surprised to see PyRo not really show up in the beginning of this match, and they shut me right up right now, as you can see. They are constantly calling, forcing these tri-caps to happen, and they're forcing the rotates out of ExAequo here, as we're seeing Blade trying to push in towards B right now, and it looks like he should be able to cap it over if he does pick this kill to the man to his left. But he will be taken down.
Yeah, it was a well-held kind of side there from PyRo. They're in their comfort zone now. They left ExAequo to pick up A, and they should be able to work this quite nicely because only Sayo is alive. The rest of his team did get taken down, but he is still doing work. Melicium went down to his hand. They've got some respawns coming in. Blade's not in a bad position to provide some cover, but look at this. Probo is the one who is now being depended on to turn this site over. It's not going to happen. Flash does claim that one, so this will be staying a 2-1 hold, but the only thing that ExAequo can pick up is out in the cold at C, but actually, no one's picked up B, excuse me. They really ignored that. I think the nade came through and actually eventually picked him up, but PyRo will be able to easily claim that, as you can see positionally on this map. It's very hard to get back in here. And well, ExAequo doing that. They know exactly where ExAequo are, and they can just keep him at arm's length. If they can lock down this mid push, leave ExAequo and a little bit, you know, a couple of others, just to keep the fire up, they're in a very good position just to make this one really hurt towards the opposition, and they're actually not breaking through at all. I didn't even notice that we've got Hexus and Benny back here, just kind of making it really hard for the opposition to break back in towards the more ideal maps, or sorry, sites, and you're seeing that reflected in the tickets right now, 58 to 94.
The thing is, it looks like PyRo have the setup they finally want. They have A and B flag locked down. Right now, they're sending actually a couple men out towards C, so they want to keep the pressure on. But they seem to be satisfied with that. They seem to be satisfied with keeping them out in the cold and force them to try to work their way back in. But as you can see, C being capped over. ExAequo still working out in towards the middle side here. And actually, we'll pick up another kill. Nice job by him to get the kill on Sayo, but they're constantly keeping them there. You see 3 or 4 men of ExAequo always in this little area on the top of B, on to the north side of B, and they do have the tri-cap coming in, and honestly, the tickets, they're bleeding away. Last time I checked, it was like 90 to 100 in favor of PyRo. Now it's 40-94. I didn't even notice this huge sweep, but they are holding this tri-cap down still, and the push is finally coming in on A here for ExAequo.
Yeah, and this is pretty much just because PyRo pushed out enough to claim C. It's allowed for this A respawn, and I'm surprised they haven't got themselves set up to maybe challenge here. But if they can, you know, maybe support a C and B hold by set up a nice crossfire through where ExAequo is right now, they're pretty safe anyway. They've got a lovely lead at the moment. They've got a good couple of tickets in their pocket, but they just need to keep getting these kills in. You know, when the likes of ExAequo were out in the cold, they could barely break back in. It's always at a disadvantage shooting in to out. So,
right.
Sorry, out towards in, should I say. And while we're seeing it right now, they have created a good enough crossfire. Benny there does pick up one. And they're already just pushing them, you know, quite hard. They're being very much in their faces. And ExAequo are in trouble. They have very few tickets to work with, and they really need another site. And they're looking like they want to try and get B, but already Melicium doesn't quite get the kill. And it might be a 2-1 hold, but already PyRo hedging their bets, getting back over towards A.
Yeah, they got that back spawn coming in, and they just seem to be a step ahead of ExAequo right now. They're actually going for potential that tri-cap yet again here, but we'll see B locked down for ExAequo here in just a few seconds. But it seems like ExAequo is struggling to just hold on to one flag, let alone two right now. PyRo are more about, okay, we can keep two really easy. Let's try to be cheeky and go for three here, because right now, 13-88 in tickets, that is one of the most one-sided games I've seen on Locker now.
Yeah, for a long time, as we see a lot closer games normally, but I do like the way ExAequo aren't just going all in on A. They are sending one man out towards C, but they're losing out on B, and they haven't actually really claimed this A site, so it should be a 2-1 to PyRo, which it is now, and they couldn't have afforded that at this point. They only have 10 tickets left. The kills coming in against them are going to make that even worse. They cannot really afford respawns, hence the kind of real drive for that revive they're coming from Terra, desperately getting down towards B, trying to pick this one up to chip away at the gigantic lead that PyRo now have. At the start, this was all ExAequo's. Right now, they are in trouble, and 84 tickets is a gigantic lead here, and it's going to take a couple more kills. ExAequo is desperately holding on, but Hex is coming down the side, going for the challenge. And maybe they can chip a couple of tickets off, but with kills like that coming in for PyRo, it's not looking good. And here comes the final real push that they can do anything with. ExAequo has done the job. Probo joins in as well. The tickets are getting low, but look at that one ticket left. If they lose out for another second, they must get this now, and they just about did it. But one more thing going wrong is going to, you know, completely just tumble this down. ExAequo split out towards C, trying to do what he can on his own. They are just scrapping their way around here, but no revives, no respawns can really come in. They are fighting with everything they have, and PyRo, they're being put through their paces, but I can only imagine they feel like it's a matter of time. One ticket is not enough. But ExAequo, 2-1 hold, but only 3 men alive.
That is very true, and they're looking for a couple more kills, so they're holding on. You see ExAequo pick up one, nicely placed right there into middle here, and PyRo, they're struggling to get this last flag cut they need, or the last kill.
Yeah. The difference in the scoreline already is huge, but now it is 2 men, and, well, you can't defend it like this. Blade, I can imagine, is over by, I thought it would be by A a little bit closer, but they're still trying, and they're still doing it. As long as these two stay alive, and they don't lose out on A just yet, they're going to have to push forward right now. It's too little too late. But a big change up there. 61 tickets is a lot better than 80. So a lot of work to do. But
they
I
were
think
at 88 originally
I want to point out something before it comes back to us. 21-9. ExAequo was just doing wonders for his team right then. We saw it at the end. He was the solo man on C. He actually claimed that for himself and just tucked in there, created a nice little crossfire through mid, and just, you know, worked with Blade, who was the other guy alive, to get these kills in and really stretch this game out. It was very well played.
And the weird thing is that the kills were pretty even in the end. Like the total kills, I think it was like, let's just say 60-60 between the two teams. It obviously wasn't exactly that, but the fact is that it wasn't really about the kills for them. It seemed more about that PyRo had the pace. They were controlling the pace of the game. They always had, you know, 2 flags. They were forcing ExAequo back on 1 every single time. And even then, they could barely hold that 1.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And the way they played it, I felt, was they always had a backup plan. So if they lost out on, let's say they lost out on A, they'd already have a guy like straight out towards C.
They had an anchor. They always had that anchor.
Always there, really well done. And, you know, maybe they got a little, they could have closed that out a lot earlier. If they didn't go for that. So if we look back, when they had A and when they had B, they had the good firing line. They had no way the ExAequo would break through unless one of the players like ExAequo would go huge. But they got a little bit aggressive. They pushed out from the back of A, tried to pick up C, which they did. But it also forced the respawn coming in for the opposition further back behind A. So they could have actually turned it around. But, you know, it's moments like that that maybe cost them 40 tickets. But it's such a small moment that sometimes you kind of forget it can have such a big impact. But they do still walk away with a good, solid lead. And now it's down to ExAequo to try and pick up where they left off at the end.
Yeah,
then, because
to keep that momentum is really difficult.
They did really good at the end, to be fair there. They got very close. And as we saw, it was pretty dominant. But then they kind of switched up and it started to begin to work for them. So I think we are almost ready to get into game. And it will be the US side being PyRo, and it will be ExAequo on the Russian side. So hopefully we can tuck into game and see what goes down. So if you look at it this way, basically, if ExAequo drop below 61 tickets, they've lost out on the first map. So they need to stay above that threshold and get the opposition of PyRo down to 0. So straight off the bat, we are seeing the likes of 2 players from PyRo splitting out towards C, 2 focusing on that mid-cross, and 1 man soloing down by this B push. And actually running with a little bit of a long... No, he's not playing the lower side. They're just playing upper, which is quite curious because you're leaving this whole corridor here pretty much open to ExAequo if he wants to run down there with that AEK in hand.
He definitely could here, but it's a very big standoff right now between these two teams. They're looking for that first kill or two. They're being very patient here, and we're going to see ExAequo finally start to push in towards B a little bit here. But there's something I want to talk to you about and actually ask you your opinion for it is, to me, the whole C flag of this game so far has felt like just an opportunistic one. It's like, oh, if we have a guy near that area, we might as well just send him out there to try to cap it, because no one seems to ever defend it.
I think it's just because there's no good position to defend it in anymore with the guns up for grabs. So we have seen the fact that PyRo is still holding on to this. And I want to point out, no one was here to defend this. ExAequo could have gone down towards B then and picked up the whole site. But because of the fear of someone being there, he's actually not done it. But there we go, finally worked around. But as you were saying about C, I don't think there's a place you can solidly hold it. So it's not worth leaving one guy out there who's probably going to die to being at a disadvantage. So you might as well go for the retake rather than the challenge these days. But let's kind of have a little overview to what's been going down at the moment, because the tickets have been wiped away. ExAequo being a little bit tentative to move out towards B. It's cost them a fair few tickets. Now they only have B, and they have a 2-1 against them. They're down about 20 tickets already, and that's not what they needed, coming in with such a big disadvantage already. Yeah,
considering they're working up a hill right now, a giant one, a 61 ticket kind of hill, because they need to stay above that point if they want to have hopes of winning anything here. We do see the respawn come in, and Terra, he will be picked off there, so it looks like he might be held onto, but still a 2-on-3 fight here, and just doing the awesome free cam right now. But we will see ExAequo push in, and it looks like with the 4 men there, they will be able to hold on to it, or at least will be able to pick it up here. But 1 man has something to say about it here. I think that's Melisium picking up 2 big kills, and he might go for the 3rd, but he will be taken down. And then you see the respawn coming from the backside, and they're able to defend against us here, and it looks like PyRo are going to hold on to it. That was 4 men that ExAequo committed towards that A flag, and yet they didn't even cap it over.
Yeah, and that's what I like about PyRo. They may not go for the initial challenge, but they always go for the retake. They waited for the likes of Hexus to come around that side and pick it up with the others in tow. Melisium holding on a little bit longer, toying with them. That just worked out real good for them. So now PyRo, they went for a little bit of a B push, but they got forced away in the end. But Benny is in a bit of a troublesome situation. He's got 2 players now just beating towards him, and he does get taken down in the end. So Melisium now playing a very passive role, sitting right into the corner here. He's seen the the red dot there coming through. He'll go for a little bit of pre-fire. He does get a connection, but he does get taken down in the end by Sayo. A straight up exchange. But we saw the amount of players that ExAequo had put towards A will now pick that one up. But the immediate response again from PyRo, and already having Hexus out by C. Now this is because they knew they're going to lose out on A, and it's vulnerable from that back push and mid push. They don't have these players with eyes on through mid, and I don't know if they're going to realize that fast enough, because Terra basically just slipped through completely unknown to them. But look how low ExAequo's tickets are going already.
I mean, they've lost, what, 53 now compared to the 13 of PyRo. Like, that shows you how inside this half has been so far. But there's actually a 2-on-2 breaking out here. We're going to see Terra get taken down from the backside, but we're going to see Hexus here try to defend from the upper, the higher ground, and it looks like he won't pick up the kill, but he still has the other man there. And with that, you can see the respawns are all coming in towards this this C flag here for ExAequo. They're committing a lot of resources just to get this flag cap, and this might actually lose in the game, to be honest.
It really could. 85 tickets is not a lot, and they've got players coming in, but those nades are not helping at all. Provo is in trouble. He gets just absolutely blown to pieces. And I like this. Melisium holding on through this tunnel, making sure no one else can support through mid. That is a very important position, really just funneling in the rest of ExAequo. 1 man now stands from them, and look how low their tickets have got. It's been a 2-1 throughout the entirety of this situation. PyRo have pushed through, they've claimed the site, they've claimed complete dominance outside, and they're already in a position to challenge through mid. So Melisium went down, but by the time he's done so, Hexus is there. We've got players desperately falling back. ExAequo knows what's going down. They did lose Melisium, so they know they're going to need to get back towards B, and they've done just that. The backup plans, the forward thinking has paid off, but will they expect ExAequo? Because he's going to have to do something quick. 61 tickets, not far away, and this could be a triple cap.
It could be right now, and it looks like this is going to be the first game of this best of 3 going over to PyRo right now. And there's one thing that's really key within PyRo is their reactions. I mean, we saw the 4-man spawn of ExAequo towards C, and they immediately responded towards that top side as well. They immediately met them face to face and still had the back caps on them. And right now, that 61 ticket, well, one more ticket, and that will be it. And there it is. That will be PyRo picking up the first map and taking us over to Zavod here in just a few seconds. But PyRo, very solid play. I mean, they, like I said before, they lost 13 tickets by the time ExAequo lost 53.
Yeah, and it was just really well played. Flash didn't die once. Just going to point that out in the second half there. He stayed alive the entirety of the time. But it was always those backup plans, and even in the prolonged exchanges, let's say out by C, you saw how much was committed by ExAequo there. Yeah. PyRo were like, okay, we'll meet that because we still already have this 2-to-1 hold. We already have Melicium holding through mid because, you know, if anyone tries to come around the back of us, he can at least spot them out, give us a little bit of awareness. He doesn't need to get the kill. He just needs to be able to see it happening. And they responded every single time on point. They had ExAequo immediately run back. Melicium went down. ExAequo came back. He knew that, well, they're not going to hit up A. They're going to go straight around to B, try and pick this one up, and try and work around the back of C if they do get it. ExAequo got there. He got the kill, secured the site. Done. Still a 2-to-1 hold. So it's just this constant forward thinking, constantly knowing the kind of cause and reaction to the events going on. It was really well played from them. Individually, very strong, but still, ExAequo got a lot more to warm up to here. They need to kind of, rather than being so reactive, I feel, they need to be, they need to be a little bit more dominant, need to lead the pace themselves rather than just responding.
They tried at the end, but it didn't really match up. PyRo were able just to win the firefights. And one thing we also did notice out of PyRo was the fact that it was towards the later stage of the game where we saw, I don't know who it was, but it was a 1-man towards B. They had 2 there originally, and it was being capped on them. And they already had the 2-to-1 hold with that big fight out in C that they had, that 4-on-4. They had A as well. But instead of sticking in there and trying to pick the kill, he just sat back, got the information, didn't need to push it, and waited for a team to come in and help him out. Like, it's the patience that I'm really respecting out of PyRo right now. And the information seems so vital in their strategy as well. The information they can get and receive from the other team. Well,
it is. This is Battlefield. As we know by now, it's not just about the kills. It's not just about that scoreline. Like, Flash not dying once is pretty damn good, don't get me wrong. But it's all about, you know, the tactics, the forward thinking, and, you know, playing a smart game, not just going for these kills. And we need to see a little bit more of smart play from ExAequo. I always back these guys, and they always let me down. So I kind of hope they warm up a little bit here, because that first game, especially on the second half, was very one-sided. And let's bear in mind, I believe this map is PyRo's choice. So it's not looking good for ExAequo, unless they can pull something out. Maybe they learned a little bit of the pacing that they can expect from PyRo and how they like to play, testing the waters, maybe on a more neutral map for them, and expect to turn around in the second. I don't know. It's going to be an uphill struggle either way you look at it. And I think the teams are just getting themselves ready, so we can dive in and kind of take you through what we expect to see here on this very map itself. And there we go, of course, they just died just for getting game. Screw you guys. Screw you guys. Those scumbags. But still, we will be going to game. That's obviously them restarting to get on the right sides. But Zavod, if we look at the way PyRo just played, this should easily be their map. And it should be an easy pick-up for them. They played so smart. They played correctly to the pace. ExAequo now do have an uphill struggle. So we can dive into game this time, and we're not lying to you.
Don't lie to me.
I wouldn't ever.
Don't break my heart.
Your achy, breaky heart. So basically what we... Whoa, man, don't knock it. All right, so what we can expect, the US side will be spawning to the right. The Russian side will be spawning kind of to the top left there. The Russian side will be PyRo and ExAequo will be on the US side. And it just comes down normally to this initial B exchange. It's the first one. Both other sides are picked up retrospectively down to spawns. But it comes down to how many players they commit towards B. We see a lot of the times the Russian side will go maybe 2 towards B and then send maybe another from that A point towards underground C and try and challenge out. But we're going to have to find out what they go for straight away, because we are seeing a 2-man towards B, a couple more players over towards A, and I can imagine they'll go for a straight-up C challenge, maybe work through mid.
And right now, we do see that 2-on-3 push over towards B as well. Hex, as you can see, working out middle, trying to maybe spot someone out here. But there's actually going to be a person underground. He's not going to notice him out, but let's pay attention to B here, because Blade, well, he is trying to cap over that point, at least to hold it here, as there's actually 3 men on the side of ExAequo. They need to get this if they're going to commit that many people. And with that kill they just picked off, that might have been enough, but we do see the return kill coming in. And who is that man? That is going to be Flasher right now. He's going to work around. We'll get the revive as well, which is very important here, because now they weren't really expecting there to be 2 there, but there's going to be the revive in. He's going to pick up 1 kill here, but we'll take a little bit of damage from the backside, but they still have yet to cap over B. As actually I do notice they do have it technically here, but they've lost C. They've lost A at the same time, and now they're struggling to even maintain B here, as it will finally be capped over. So right now, just early control to PyRo, and this is what we expected. We didn't expect any less of this.
Yeah, it was not a pretty sight towards me, excuse me. It took a long time. The player kind of hovering right around to the back here did cause them some trouble. They had Flash doing the same thing. But now we are seeing it coming down towards C. This is kind of the knock-on effect because, well, we saw ExAequo picking it up. They had A, they sent the players through. But now it's going to come down to these exchanges. Sayo goes down. They're just being absolutely picked to pieces by PyRo. They only had 2 men standing at the end of this, but ExAequo was alive enough to kind of convert the side over, get the revives in. Benny did some great work. He's on 5-2, so he did pretty much win this one over for their side. So now they're not in the best position to challenge through mid, so they're going to have to kind of play a little bit more passively on the site, like we're seeing Hex is playing here, and wait for those push acrosses because they can't really push out and try and find a challenge. It'd be good for them to try and watch the cross towards B, help out those players, but ExAequo are going to be in their faces and they're going to have to hold on. ExAequo's done the job there, but can everyone else step up to the plate?
Well, we will find out right now as we're going to see actually a lot of deaths coming in for ExAequo here. Only 2 men alive right now. I'm just going to say that Sayo is the last man in the squad and they're getting the respawns on top of them, which right now I want to say it's kind of maybe favorable to go for a random spawn, but as I do say that, I noticed one man goes up towards the top, the northeast side of A, so that was probably the worst thing he probably could have done right now, but they're going to go for the push on a C. But PyRo, I want to say they're playing this kind of like Dignitas last season. They're once they get dug into C, it's almost impossible to take it back from them. They just play so patient. They wait here, and you're seeing ExAequo send 4 men to cap this one over here. They're being a 4-on-2, and they're going for the push. Now the kill's finally coming in, but it's actually in PyRo's favor.
Yeah, this is not looking good. So Flash and Benny were alive. They've gone down, but they already had their eyes set on A. So as soon as they lost that sight, they had one other player out there, but they have no one ready to get on towards B. Maybe Hexus is trying to get across. He's the furthest forward player for PyRo, but they will be held at a 2-1 for a small amount of time. Whether it be, dealt with very swiftly, I don't know, but they're going straight back in towards C to try and find a way through. And I think ExAequo did just catch a glimpse of one, avoiding those nades. Does push through, but Terra is there, does get taken down, and now PyRo aren't having such an easy route back in towards this site. They got bullied out of C, and now they're really having to fight damn hard to get back into this one. I think they may have just won out there on towards the site, just a touch, but you can see the respawns coming in. ExAequo are not giving up on this.
They definitely do not, but they have to be careful. They do lose out on this fight. They lost out a lot of resources coming into this. As you can see, 123 to 97 tickets. Not the biggest of leads, but a lead nonetheless. Here, as we're seeing a lot of firefight break out of B, but it's going to go in the favor of PyRo here, picking up those 2 kills, even getting a couple of respawns in on that. But they just seem to always be a step ahead of ExAequo. They just can't get the push they need. I like what we saw differently, though, is that they went towards C when they went for the big fight and they captured it, and then they sent 1 man straight to B because they're being back capped. So just fluidly went through that side, picked up a 2 cap, but then they kind of don't know where to go from there. They lose it again, they lose out in the fights, and then they get 2 capped again.
They did, however, get a good random spawn coming in. 2 players to the northeast side of the map, up behind A, and that has given them a chance to pick up this A site and, well, try and do something with it. Blade did that, but I don't think he's ready for Flash coming around the back, and a couple of the other players being ready and waiting to pick this one back through, and they are spreading themselves quite thin. They have only 1 man really holding on towards C. A couple of respawns will change that around, and it looks like PyRo might be faking out on A and pushing a lot of people through mid to try and pick up on C, but already there are a few players mulling around for ExAequo through mid, so it won't be an easy exchange for them, and Miziek doing this is really going to cause trouble, as Benny was one of those players who were going to come around the side. He countered it straight away, and we are seeing a little bit of a comeback from ExAequo. They've dealt with the A threat, now they might have to deal with that on C, and we know that PyRo can handle themselves here, but ExAequo have done very well. They've held this for an extended bit of time, but now here comes the push from the opposition. PyRo look like they want to make their way in right now, and it's kind of paying off. They picked up the kills, only Probo, Sayo, and Blade are left alive, and that's not looking like they're going to last long.
The thing was, they had finally the read on PyRo. They finally realized what they were doing, and they were able to counter that, and they were able to pretty much get a full squad wipe. But then PyRo just get the back spawn on them. They wait, and they pick up the kills in the 1v1s. And as you can see, Nexus 11-5 right now is really helping out for his team. And ExAequo even playing kind of a floater role right now. But they still have a 2-1 here. There's a lot of tickets that were chipped away. Exactly. They need to get the read again, and ExAequo still going with the engineer class. That's interesting.
Yeah, a unique gun to go for. Maybe feels a little bit more comfortable with it, but no one in mid, actually, for PyRo. Interesting choice. Hex's position clearly been worked out by now, and he's going to have to fall back and try and find another challenge, and he just gets mowed down in the end, and here comes ExAequo pushing in from several fronts at the same time. Miziek takes down his own player, but does find Flash in the end. Those nades are going to send him back down to 0 HP, then did get taken down in the end, but Terra comes in, gets the revives in the bag, and he needs to get his squad back up and running, because I can imagine PyRo are so tempted to go straight back in for the flat-out challenge, but ExAequo's tickets are going low, and already Hex is in a good position to watch the cross, but he doesn't land a clean shot. He gets the exchange, but it's not good enough. They'll just about hold on to B. They have no contingency plan for A. They're going for the flat-out challenge on C.
It seems so weird, but I think I've seen a problem that a lot of teams do, but it was the biggest change from the first and the second is the fact that I think ExAequo's sending like 1 or 2 men in towards a flag, and when they die, they kind of keep throwing men at it instead of just waiting for some respawns and going in as 3, going in as 4, maybe even 5. And right now, PyRo completely eating that one up right now. As we do see, though, ExAequo able to hold on to the C push. As we see about 5 deaths in total here, but the respawns coming in, and we see 1 man actually pushing towards this A flag here. As Hexus will pick up the kill, but there's still quite a few more there. As he will turn around, Flasher gets the kill on A. And it looks like we will have the A hold back for PyRo here, but 75 to 57. This is looking like a much more even map than what we just saw prior.
Oh, most definitely, but I would say PyRo are now in a better spot to hold this, but they went a little bit aggressive than just trying to get straight out towards B, and they got caught up there. That was Hexus. So maybe a little bit of short-sightedness coming out because he knew they'd be pushing off from C, trying to get towards B. But then again, we are seeing a 2v2 going down on the C site. 72 tickets to 52. Holding one of these 2-to-1s would be absolutely perfect. Hexus has taken down ExAequo. The other players cleaning up there. This 1v1 on A is vital. That's been won out in the end by Flash. And now this could be a triple cap if PyRo can pick up the B flag as well. So a lot going down. And at the moment, look how many resources are being committed here by ExAequo because they know they're in trouble if they don't get this B site in hand.
Exactly. The thing is, they have 3 up against 2. And yet they're still really hesitant. They're still struggling to kind of hold on to this flag cap right now. And that's just PyRo kind of, feeling confident about out-aiming the other team and using the information, to their advantage. As we do see, it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but then we see 1 more man coming from PyRo to help him out. They call in for it, but he will be taken down. Elysium will unfortunately drop, and that should be B maintained. But then again, they lost out on C, they lost out on A, and they're still fighting up this hill. They're struggling right now, and they can't stop the bleeding.
And the thing I wanted to point out is, even though they finally walk away with this site and they finally got themselves in a good position, it took so long to do it. That 2-to-1 hold has just made a huge deficit in their tickets. 34 is all that's left, and rather than sending these 1 players out every now and then to try and pick up these singular sites, they're just being caught. And already A is a trouble for them. ExAequo are having no easy pickups, no clean sites just to pick up off the back of an exchange. And that's causing them these huge deficits. We saw it on the extended fight out on Locker. We saw that player, really struggling towards the end to get anything done, and that's what cost ExAequo a lot of tickets, and we're seeing it here again. PyRo are very fluid, very quick. Their backup plans are almost immediate, but ExAequo can do this kind of all-in push, but right now Flash is trying to hold on towards C. ExAequo are literally flooding in towards him. He finally gets taken down. They've just been bullied off of this. And let's see exactly where the PyRo spawns are. Hexus a little bit closer towards B. No one. And look how slow they are pushing out here. They had a clean path towards B if they wanted it. They've gone for the setup rather than going for the site. They've got a 2-to-1, but they don't have enough tickets to really do much with.
They're not going for the read either. They're kind of not guessing where PyRo is going to go. I mean, they just kind of sit there for a little bit and then kind of, all right, let's just go with this. Let's just randomly put some people somewhere. And Flasher, that could have been really bad as he missed out quite a few shots right there. But like you said, perfect. I mean, they're not fluid. They're not they're not rotating into another site. They're having such a strong time and a hard time, sorry. And right now, they do have the 2-to-1 hold though. They do have A, they do have C, but how long will A really last?
Well, Melisium does get the revive, and he will be moving in towards A. We have 2 players quite far back, casually deciding if they want to go for the challenge. Hexus is out of position to defend B, so they've left it open. Maybe put a bit of an all-in that they'll be able to hold this, and I'm not sure as to why. They've really left B completely open for the taking. Maybe assuming that ExAequo won't go for the quick respawns on towards C, and that'll give them a good kind of crossover. But look, they've left ExAequo able to pick up this site. They've really spread themselves too thin, and you could not do that. 47 tickets is not a great deal, and there could be a triple cap coming out against them if there was that player 1 out. If ExAequo stayed alive, that would be a triple cap against them. And, as we said, 8 tickets, not a lot. 42, not a lot either. This could go either way. And C as the site's going down on. Hexus does get the tag, but Benny comes in big, picking up the cleanup. Can he find the last man in the other squad? Can he find Blade? And he's not going to go for it. He's going to go for the revives, get the bodies on the floor, and try and do the work. As there we have it. Blade hedged the bets, went out towards A rather than, defending B or going for anything else.
The 2 people that got revived instantly went towards B. They're like, all right, we got C. Let's just immediately run towards another flag here. And that little play that we just saw a couple seconds prior, I think it was just PyRo getting a read into ExAequo's strategy that they didn't leave anyone at B because they realized how slow they are rotating. So why not have that extra man over towards a push somewhere else? And as we can see, they're going to finish with a 37 ticket advantage here in this first half of the second map. And they're really close now to at least securing themselves into the winner's game in just a few minutes.
And it's, I don't know what to say. It was a close game towards the end on occasions, but we always see a slightly closer scoreline on this map. It's very hard to go for the triple caps because it's quite a big map. Easy to just sneak one man through, force players off of site, so you can't just lock it down completely. But PyRo played it very well. Players like Benny going 18-9, 15-8 for Flash, it certainly helps. Hexus 20-11. All playing very well, playing really strongly, and it just doesn't sit well for ExAequo, who can do the kind of bully off of site tactic where they can just put that many men in at once. This is very much an all-in kind of thing.
But yeah, I mean,
it just didn't work out for them that well.
That brute force strategy doesn't work against a team that's very fluid, like PyRo are playing. Like they immediately just rotate off and constantly are always working towards another flag. And I feel like if ExAequo kind of try to play that style, if they try to be a little bit more aggressive, a little quicker in their play, they'll catch PyRo off guard.
They would. They definitely would. We saw that was what used to work for the likes of UMAV and these other kind of up-and-coming teams who really kind of challenge a lot of the guys who are set in their ways. These fast, aggressive rotates that, you know, once you brute force that site, you pick it up, okay, quickly, 3 guys push off towards B. The other 2 wait for the, you know, respawns to come in for the opposition and defend this site. We'll get a 2-to-1. Or, you know, one player split off down towards the other side. And it's this constant kind of thinking ahead, the constant progressive thought of, okay, well, they're going to respawn here, we're going to be here, where's the best place to challenge? Okay, it's going to be in this spot. Let's get out there and do the job. But they've been a little bit far behind. And I don't know, ExAequo, great team, but they're not showing it here today, I feel.
Yeah, unfortunately, there really aren't. And obviously, they will be going up against the loser of Epsilon and Unitas. And if they do win that, they'll go up against the loser of the winners' games, if that makes any sense for you guys at home. That's the way our groups work. This actually won't be live from what I can tell in chat as they were talking. I guess they're having a little bit of a talk here between both teams. Going to just restart it up. But, you know, right now, I wish we would see more of ExAequo. I wish we would see them adapt quicker. We're seeing them set in their ways.
Yeah, that's
and not change anything up mid game. They need to.
Yeah, they definitely need to, and it's a shame because you've seen how well they can play once they kind of, well, if they bully themselves into these sites, they can take them over real easy. It's not, they don't have a problem getting the sites. It's being fast enough to stop the rotates, to stop the, you know, the secondary effects of this. And that's where I feel they're falling down. They're still a very good team. Individually, brilliant as a team when they push together. Also very good. But that foresight, maybe not having a team leader in there to call it straight away, maybe they're not as on point with the opposition. I don't know, but they need to step up a little bit here.
They're kind of, to me, like a can opener, or really good at being a can opener, where they can open up a site very quickly. They can rush in there, get there, and take down as many men as they need to. But the problem is, like, after that, I don't know if it's individual players or, like you're saying, the caller isn't kind of giving information that, okay, we need to do this next. We need to have this next step. And you kind of need that ingrained in your brain to know exactly what to do already, to know your next move. And ExAequo just kind of aren't really going for that just yet.
Well, we can, I'm not sure if they're live. They're not live. We can leave it in game anyway and kind of talk this through. Because as much as I love you guys staring at my face, I don't think you want to stare at my face.
I get to.
Yeah, that's why oh, Jason, you're weird.
Didn't know that already?
No, I know. It's a surprise, right? But no.
People at home didn't.
But yeah, as we were saying, it was like, for example, the best way I can think of describing it is looking towards C. So, for example, they'd beat out the players. They would easily take down Hexus, who occasionally would play out here, you know, sitting in on these tanks, using not the head glitch, but making it very hard to be hit. So, sitting here watching the push across from A. And then, okay, they'd take him down, they'd get in here, they'd take down Benny, who was sitting on the side, you know, maybe Melicium as well, and they'd take it over. So by the end of it, it'd be a long exchange, but they'd win out in the end. So Seo, Probo, Terra, ExAequo, Blade, all doing the work. They'd pick up the site. But let's say they originally had A, for example. By the time they're all in here, I can imagine that PyRo will be waiting maybe for a nice little back spawn out here. If they don't get that one, they could head on over and hope they get this one, if they get the random spawn, or they'd already have players waiting, you know, around this area, watching that cross from C towards B. And they'd always have that next stage lined up. That's exactly what they'd do, and it just pays off perfectly. Are you okay there, Jason?
I was trying to figure out how to lower my chair because I was looking at the program and I was a lot taller than you.
Wow,
and I realized after breaking the chair and tearing something off that I can't lower it anymore. It's already on as low as it can go.
Wow, Jason, way to break stuff. Buddy,
these are really nice chairs, though.
Yeah, when they're not broken.
At least I haven't fallen out of one yet. I did previously with Joe back in last year, and he caught that on camera. And no one needs to look up that VOD either because I think I deleted it. I don't know.
I don't know. Alrighty, so guys, we are almost ready to get underway, I do believe. And it will be the Russian side being ExAequo. PyRo will be on the US side. And if ExAequo drop below 37 tickets, they are going to be dropping down to the lower side, should I say, to try and battle their way back into this. So, once again, I feel it's going to come down to this B play, unless, you know, the Russian side do feel they want to challenge out, maybe going straight for an A pick up to C, but it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit out there. It's not as easy to pull off. And we will have to see what they go for straight off the bat. It does seem as though it's a 2-man split through the middle. So one more man was sent there previously by PyRo. And it's pretty much a counter to each other. So 3 men from the Russian side will be picking up B, hopefully, against the only one of PyRo. But they've gone for a straight-up pickup on towards A. They've won out in the 1v1s, it seems. And, well, that's a bad exchange already going down against ExAequo.
Yeah, and they sent 2 men. I mean, PyRo, they had the idea of what they exactly wanted to do right before that game even started. You saw them send 2 over towards A, where they knew there would only be 1 man defending against that. And obviously, they had a 2v3 at B, but look at this. They were prepared for it. They won out in the fight either way, even in that man down here. And they have the 2 cap of A and B here, and we're seeing C. Well, we're seeing ExAequo try to barrel down and hold on to it, as we're seeing them trying to hold on to B or maybe go for the attack. But right now, they're fighting up a hill again. They always seem to be in that position, and you would think one day they would figure out what's wrong and fix it. But I'm hoping to see them change up strategies a little bit here. And right now, well, they just seem to be a step behind again. The rotate came in through C. They finally... Thing is, they had 2 people at B the whole time. They were waiting. But they could have maybe went 5-10 seconds earlier, would have had the cap already, would have had the 2 cap, and probably would have forced a different kind of rotate coming out of PyRo.
Yeah, but ExAequo trying to send a 3-man squad in. Now towards A. Blade is there, joined, well, in the background by Terrorbu. It was a little bit late to the mark, and it has allowed PyRo to just clean this one up quite easily. Claim back A, and they already had, or still had, should I say, 2 players on C. I wouldn't be surprised seeing Hexes push out, try and watch the cross from B towards C, but he needs to be careful. There are 2 back spawns coming through, and that will allow Sayo just to sneak in here, and they could challenge out on A. There are still players back, though, so PyRo never leaving it completely unattended, and ExAequo taking his time with the shot, wait and see if there's any others. He might have caught a glimpse of one, but he gets caught in the back by Sayo there. So now A is looking slightly vulnerable. Benny holding on desperately here. In the meantime, B being won over by PyRo. The respawn there, just about. He had to go back for the reload, but it has allowed Flash to put forward. And PyRo looking like they're in a good spot, but finally ExAequo does win out, and they should at least walk away. But A still being contested as well.
It is, and the thing is, the way they caught A, the way PyRo actually grabbed it was a 2-on-3 fight, and they won that out with actually only losing 1 man. Which they got revived anyway in the end, as we're seeing right now. Benny push in, pick up another kill, and he will get a couple of revives in here, so we'll be back to a 2-on-1 with even the rotate coming in from C in the middle. But Mimsic, he's... I don't know, it just seems like they're still kind of struggling. They don't know what to do.
See, in my eyes then, they saw how many players the PyRo kind of put towards that C site. The A site, and they should have gone, okay, we've got the respawns, we've got mid, let's send 2 over towards that C section, through here, straight down, rather than taking their time. Like, you saw ExAequo taking his sweet time there in mid, and it's allowed, a nice setup from PyRo with ExAequo in position and Flash, and, well, they could, if they fancy it, push out here, but they were in a good spot. They had B, they could have gone for C. They saw how much was, excuse me,
I think we need to see them actually do something similar to what Fnatic kind of does. If they had a floater role, if they had someone able to pick up the kills, able to rotate around, he could be that nuisance, and they can just leave the other 4 people to focus on holding down these flags, holding down the push.
And they can always get the respawns on that one guy.
Exactly.
So it's always keeping these options open. They don't really have it, and, well, we're seeing that reflected at the moment. 37 tickets isn't that far away from ExAequo now. They're still trying to sneak in towards A, but finally they've got a nice 2-man split out towards A. They wait on those respawns. Benny isn't too far behind, but still, this should be going their way. If they don't kind of underestimate the force that could be coming in, and they do. They don't watch the push in. And once again, you can see the PyRo do respond very quickly to these pushes towards A. And once again, it did leave C with only 1 man, and one of the others was even picked up by the B player. But still, ExAequo going back in for A. They've opened up a good push towards C, but they just keep kind of going head first in towards A like they desperately need it. I don't know why they're not faking out a little bit more towards A or sending that 1 man there, leaving the rest to push C. They seem to have the blinkers on, and they're going, okay, we must get this side. If we don't have this, all is lost, and it has allowed this to happen. PyRo have noticed what's going on, said, sod it, we'll just go pick up B then. If you're not here, we'll go do the job for you. But C being vulnerable, Melicium can still hold on in a 2-1 though.
I think is what we saw right there was really interesting. We're seeing PyRo kind of play with like 2-man squads, I feel like, where we have Hexus and ExAequo. They were kind of sitting at A. ExAequo sat inside the A flag. Ended up going down, which was fine, but Hexus was already in middle, able to go for that rotate towards A if they needed him, ready to rotate towards C if they needed him, and to be a turret or a sentry just to get the information and to see where people are crossing. And because of that, they were able to really bounce around, able to go for that quick cap around onto B and C, and able to still maintain that 2-to-1 hold. And once they get set up for that, it's really hard to break that. And you have to be able to win the one-on-one fights if you want to be able to kind of, crack that plan down. And So obviously, like we're seeing it, ExAequo just aren't really doing it. And right now, 54 tickets, 37 is that threshold. They're getting ever closer to being dropped down into the loser bracket of this group.
Yeah, they really are. They got bullied out of A then, and well, they're not finding an easy path back in. And they did have Probo still kind of holding around by C, but he could be easily overwhelmed. And see the 4 men moving straight in here. They left one Benny just to kind of keep A seeming like it's, you know, a place where they're at, but they put the most attention towards C.
Yeah, that's it.
And this is pretty much it. That was the final chance they had. C going over towards PyRo will pretty much gift this over to them. And ExAequo just a little bit too slow, I feel. They weren't on point. The tickets have just dropped below now. So sadly, ExAequo will be dropping down to the lowers pretty much and have to battle their way back through, which we did see happen yesterday, and it did pay off for the team who did drop down. But sadly, you know, they were literally a step behind PyRo there, I felt.
And I wish the game kind of played a little bit slower, just so we could see the intricacies that happen. Like the two-man squad that we saw, or at least I noticed out of the A site. You know, the man rotating, the one to get the information, the one to kind of sit at the flag and, you know, have the faith of his team to pick up a kill, at least one, and also get the information of where the other guy is that he gets taken down from. But those little things right there are really interesting to see. Yep. And I wish we could also listen to communication sometimes, just to kind of hear what the decision making is. Because I wish we could hear ExAequo and hear PyRo on both halves.
How
and then
is your
understand,
French and Polish going?
It's, you know, it's as good as my German.
Sweet. So we'll sort that one out, right?
So it's non-existent.
No, indeed. But it is true. I'd like to hear how different it is from team to team, pretty much. See who would, you know, be giving the better comms and who would be up to date, and then, you know, hear back and forth how they'd be predicting each other. But, you know, sadly not an option. But still, it would be good to
English.
hear. Yeah, you know, that's always good to force people to learn languages. It always works out well. But no, honestly, though, there was a good game. But ExAequo feels though they're a couple of steps behind PyRo in my eyes. PyRo, I don't think got pushed particularly then. Yeah, I think they played a good game.
Walked through it,
but it wasn't a challenge. Yeah. But if it goes the way I expect, the next game might be a little bit tougher.
Yeah, Epsilon, they went 2-0 against Unitas, so they will be advancing on to play against PyRo here, which will be our actual next game. And ExAequo, unfortunately, will drop down to play against Unitas in the bottom side. But, you know, I believe, if I remember correctly, let me go and actually check my stats real quick. I believe they actually have beat them before. No, they have not. Never mind. Actually, they have. Sorry, they haven't cut 4. I didn't have it highlighted on my paper. They have beat them already 2-0. So that gives them a little bit of hope coming into this. And obviously, like I said before, the third place team will be going into Group D. So they'll have that second chance. But
it's quite an important one as well. Let's be serious here.
It is. I mean, obviously, your rank, everything that you've done up to this, you better have played in every cup. You better have tried really hard, because when it comes into Group D, you want to get that bye round on the first go.
That makes such a big impact. Yeah. That basically gets you out of the initial runnings, and you can watch the other teams. So seeing how they're playing towards a possible opponent, you're like, okay, well, I'm in this side. If these two teams win, let me watch this. Maybe they play quite weak on a map. You're like, well, that's our map. We're strong on it. We'll pick it up. Cool. It gives you so much of an advantage, and it gives you time to learn, warm up how you like doing it. So much gets it just given in.
And the mental game of realizing we only need one win to get in instead of
massive, two. Absolutely massive. So certainly worth paying for, or playing for, should I say. Not paying for. Words are hard. But no, certainly worth playing for. And I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys go through. And I'm definitely looking forward to that next game, because PyRo can beat Epsilon. They certainly can, but maybe they took that first game a little bit lightly and they didn't warm up enough, maybe not focus towards the next opponent, because Epsilon don't mess around. That's the one thing. It doesn't matter if they're playing Fnatic or a team who are in last place. They will still be that dominant. I'm not sure if PyRo can be said the same, but we'll find out in a couple of minutes, I can imagine.
And obviously there's a lot we can talk about with Epsilon, but we will do that obviously coming up after this break. So when we come back, it's going to be Epsilon going up against PyRo here to see who the first team from Group B will be qualifying through. This is the ESL 1 Battlefield 4 2014 Spring Group Stages, and we'll see you in a few.